Hey, I'm live. How are you? Sending out best wishes to everybody. Because basically, I am an advocate for human beings and their successes, especially their money successes. Now, I am a boomer and I've been on an apology tour. And now my apology is in a part 3 series about your money and all these magical myths going around about people, and how they should behave and falling in love and all of those things, which are lovely, but without planning and without logic and concern and preparation, you most likely will fail. So I'm apologizing for not the boomers, not guiding men to their financial success in a relationship, in their partnerships, in their marriages, whatever that takes. I am apologizing because it should have been in place. We shouldn't have been passing on myths to our young boys and young adults. We shouldn't have been doing this, and we have. We took that leave it to beaver mentality, that Donna Reed show, that father knows best, into this century without correcting it as much as we should. I think there has been some steps toward correcting it, but we haven't corrected it, and we have to correct it now before this next generation starts to make the same mistakes. So what I'm talking about is in my part 1, I talked about people, men and women together, and what they need to do to talk about money, because the conflict conversations about money are really detrimental to relationships, and people stop talking about it because they know they're going to fight, or they're going to be angry. So what we're talking about right now in this world is, what does it take to be successful in your relationships, in your adult life with money, when you've been raised with myths, non-communication, negativity, triggers, emotionally based spending, not understanding what your parents were doing, not understanding what you're doing as an adult, not getting it when you're in school, not getting the proper programs in college or life courses in any way. And I addressed couples together, partners together. I addressed roommates, all of that in part 1. And then I addressed the princess syndrome in part 2. And now I'm talking to you guys, and also about women, because that's what's going on. I don't care what kind of relationship you're in, with a man, a woman, with your partner, in business, in a roommate situation. You need to be successful with money, because it's the number one thing that breaks up relationships. It's the number one thing that makes you feel like a failure. It's the number one thing that people point a finger at you about. And it is the number one thing that you get picked on by your parents and your friends. It's the competition. Oh my goodness, there are so many layers to what happens with money as you're going from a kid to a teenager to a young adult on your own to a partner with somebody. And all of the crash courses won't help you unless you build a foundation. So the number one thing I wanted to do is remind you that I touched on the princess syndrome and laying the groundwork as a young girl that can cause money failures and confusion on her part, and how when we do the knight in shining armor syndrome, where you come in on your white horse and save the day, how that can absolutely cripple and sabotage a relationship. So let's go back to the triggers from your childhood. As a young boy, the pressure to grow up, get a career. It's almost like they want you to know what you're doing by the time you're 10. What are you going to be when you grow up? Stop asking that. You need to go through the layers of maturity before you can decide what you want to do. Sometimes someone knows they're a concert pianist. They were born with that talent. They want to be a doctor, and they gear all their things toward an education that will make them a doctor at the end of it, lawyers, things like that. Some people, and I think it's the minority, are born or are young with the idea of what they want to be when they grow up. But mostly, most of us don't know that. And what we do is we prime our sons to be career oriented, make money, be a good catch. That one drives me crazy. Have a career where you can take care of your wife and take care of your family, take care of a husband, whatever that is. We push people and push people to make them feel that you are only a success if you can carry the entire financial burden for your family on your shoulders. And that indeed, if you don't have that great job and you don't make $250,000 a year and your spouse can't stay at home, that somehow you just haven't figured it out and you're a failure. That, again, like I said in part one and part two, is BS. Here's what the problem is. It isn't on one person's shoulders. You do not carry this alone. All right. So you're a young man and you are not understanding your financial condition. You have a small allowance when you're in school, and you had a part-time job when you were in high school, and you worked your way through college. Usually you are not working your way through college, or a part-time job in high school usually is not your career. Okay. So many millions of men don't have careers. They don't choose a professional career. They're hardworking workers in factories, on farms, in warehouses, in retail. This does not diminish your value, young men and sirs that are living with this. It did not diminish your value. And this is where the problem comes in. So the first thing you need to do is take charge of your own finances. That means from high school forward, the moment you start having money, that's an allowance, a part-time job, an internship that pays you, whatever the situation, you need to know how to handle that money for the next stage of your life. So what do? When you bring in money, you record it. You say, okay, what am I spending it on? I'm talking about even if your allowance is $10 a week and you know that they're expecting you to buy you lunch with it. Well, you know that $10 and 5 lunches about uses all that money up. So if you're going to augment your income, add to it with some part-time job, that money needs to be budgeted. What do I need to, let's say, pay for my own gas? A lot of parents say, I'll buy you a car, but I'm not paying for your gas or insurance. You have to. So right away, as a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, you are thrust into the position of making enough money to cover those little things. So maybe you date, you have a car, you have to pay the insurance, you have gas, you have to pay for that. You need to buy lunches at school or meals for you and your date. So right then, all of a sudden at 16 and 17 and 18, before you are out of high school, you have an opportunity to budget your money. You have an opportunity to look at your money and make it work for you. And when I say make it work for you, that means you adhere to what you can spend. You quit asking for money. You quit borrowing money from your friends. You actually say, okay, with my part-time job and with my allowance, I bring home $47 a week or $52 a week, whatever it is. And of that amount, I need to put this aside for insurance. I need to put this aside for gas. I need to put this aside for meals. And this is what I left over. And then you act accordingly. If you start doing that when you're in high school, if you bring that attitude to college, you will be far more successful at whatever level you earn money than the guy next to you that earns $200,000 a year and pays no attention. Next thing. Okay, so now you're going to look at your money and make it work for you, no matter what amount it is. Don't be fooled by the competition out there, by believing that this guy has so much money and you're out there doing something that is detrimental to your existence by trying to compete with that guy. One of the things we've done wrong in this country is to elevate people with money to a position of celebrity. We've made them believe that they're more important because they have money. They are not. You are as important as they are. I don't know how to get this through your heads, but as an 18-year-old young man, you are as important as anybody else if you are the person that is managing your life. You are managing your life. Every step of the way you manage your life brings you to grown-up world. And I'm here to tell you that if you cannot manage your money, you are not grown up. You are not an adult. You're not an adult till you take care of yourself. So this overwhelming pressure on young men to figure out what they want to do, earn enough money to be a good catch for someone is really, really something I want to debunk, or bunk. Is it bunk or debunk? I want to do whatever it is to make it go away. So, okay, so now you're 20 and you're saying, I want to date seriously. I would like to meet somebody. I'd like to fall in love. Eventually, I want a family. Eventually, I would like to own a home, which we call the American dream. But it's only the American dream if you and the people you choose to buy your home with are on the same page financially. It's true. It's true. You cannot jump into a partnership and the purchase of a home, which is one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make, without you being on the same page about how you handle your finances. We get to be selfish when we pick a partner. We get to be selfish about our approach. We get to say what we really need, because remember, we have brought the entire old tradition of when you get married, it's for a lifetime with us. And when you are making these decisions, you're going, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this for the rest of my life? Communication. Okay, so now I've gotten you out of high school and you are keeping track of your money and you're saying, I've got this amount of money and these are the things I have to pay. This is what's left. It's not more. That it's not enough. It's not enough. It's just not there. So now I need to make my next move to find a position, a job, a career, or an education that will get me to the level I want to be at, not what they want you at. And I mean they, society, not where society believes you should go, but a career that gets you where you want to go, a job that gets you to that place where that next level where you will feel like you have funds to play with, funds to pay your bills, and funds to create a savings account or a place where you could bring in a partner. Stop doing things in the reverse, finding a partner, finding something you'd want to do, finding a house you'd want to buy, and then scrambling to catch up to it. Lay the foundation, young men. You do not have to be a knight in shining armor. You have to be true to yourself. Okay, so now you're 20 and you're confused because you probably need a credit card and you need maybe to buy a car now and have a car payment, which you had not had before. So you've maybe paid insurance and gas, but you've not had a car payment. You go to buy something, a car, and they say, well, let's check your credit score. And you go, credit score? I don't have a credit score. Believe me, we have credit scores. And the way we build our credit is by getting a car payment and actually making the payment every single month. The reason most people can get a car, even when they're young, is because your car is collateral. If you don't make your car payment, they come take your car. Credit cards are not the same way. They can cut them off. But if you use a credit card indiscriminately, they're usually unsecured. And by unsecured, that means that there's nothing that they can take away from you to pay off the debt that you've created on your credit card. That means when you went to the bachelor party for your friend in Vegas, or you went and bought something you really didn't need and put it on your credit card, and now you don't have the cash flow to pay for it, that you're ruining your credit. So I can't tell you how many, because it's in the hundreds, that I know personally, but in the millions of young men and women that have come out of college or come out of their late teens and early 20s at 25 and landed with a terrible credit score, lots of debt, college debt, credit card debt, consumer debt, because there wasn't discipline going in your teenage years into how to handle your money. And then you take that lousy credit score and that bad cash flow and those mistakes into a relationship. Because by the time men and women are in their late 20s, they're saying, I'd like to buy a house. I'd like to have a spouse. I'd like to someday have kids, or I'd like to build a business, or I really am interested in changing my job and I'd like a different career. But they've now messed up their financial picture so much that now they're digging out of a hole. Nobody tells you that, and I'm telling you that. Create a financial foundation first. Number one, when you get out, the most important thing you can do is, with deep integrity and great transparency and incredible honesty, create a financial picture that belongs to you, that you own, and that you manage. Each one of us in our life is a manager. People say, oh, you have no experience as a manager. Well, if you've been managing your life for the last 10 years, from the age of 18 to 28, you are too a manager. If you've been successful in building your credit report and handling your finances and being in a comfortable spot by the time you're 25 or 26, you are a manager and you are successful. And what we do then is we say, oh my goodness, I have to have a lot more money to be a good spouse or a good partner. Not really. What you need to do is be a good communicator about where you are in your position. I'm not telling you when you go on dates that everybody should know your financial condition. But if you're dating or you are involved with someone, and that someone is someone that you're really attached to now, fall in love with, want to create a life with, that's when the deep down honesty and all this princess syndrome and knight in shining armor has to go away. You have to become that man that says, these are the things I can do. These are the things I can accomplish. This is where I am in my life, and I'd like you to join me, but we have to be on the same page. So that means you have to look at the person that you're choosing to go down life's highway with and see where they are, their financial condition. Stop thinking to be love and bells and everything else, and the financial condition, oh, you'll worry about it. No, 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 no. If you fall in love with someone, or you want to bring someone into your life and it is extremely serious, then they need to bring the same integrity and dignity, transparency, and honesty to that relationship as you're bringing. No BSing anymore. It's the grown-up world. That person, and I worry about the princess syndrome all the time, because families so often have their daughters believe that this man is going to come in and save them and take care of them. So here's the scoop. Once you realize it's serious, you need to know what that other person thinks about with money. You need to ask them about their debt. You need to ask them about their spending. The two of you need to do sort of an experiment about how you respond to things financial. What is the difference between what you need and what you want? What is going on with that? Is that something that is extremely important to you? It's really, really important to know that you guys are on the same page with finances. One cannot be a spender and bring a huge amount of debt, and one cannot be a saver and have no debt and expect you the two of you to be happy together. It doesn't work that way. So I'm here to tell you that if you are the person with that has managed your finances well, and your partner is one that hasn't, that needs to be worked out before you take your relationship to the next level. whether that be that you have a joint way of paying off the debt, that you have a joint way of understanding whose debt is belongs to whom, and you will not commingle that yet until it's cleared up. You need to have regular financial meetings with each other. Light your candles and have your glass of wine or your favorite beverage and make a meal around it and make it somewhat romantic if you need to, but it needs to be a nuts and bolt conversation, nuts and bolts about where you're both at financially and how you've improved your picture. Because remember, when you go to buy that dream home, or you go to buy a car together, or you go to join your finances, your credit scores and how you spend money are right there for the world to see, and you can be rejected. Do you realize now, if both of you don't have good credit scores, banks can reject you buying a house, or they can charge you a much higher interest rate. They can deem you unworthy. If you have bad credit scores, or if you don't have the credit scores that they want, you can literally be stopped from refinancing your home, even if you've never missed a payment. Now, I believe that the credit score system is slightly biased, and I think it's a little bit unfair. It might be more than a little bit unfair. And I don't know how to combat that yet. I think in my future shows, I'm going to dig into how this happened, because it used to be that a credit score of 750 was fabulous, and now it has to be 850. So they keep moving the bar on us. So you have to be aware of that. I don't mean to make it sound like money is the most important part of your relationship. It is not, but it's the one that can damage you the most if you don't have your finances in order. And I'm saying to young men everywhere, and to men who fell into that category and were rejected by their spouses or their partners because they didn't make enough money, they didn't bring home enough so the other person could live the lifestyle that they wanted. You've not been talking to each other. All of this has to come about before you enter a roommate situation, a business relationship, a marriage, a live-in together relationship. You, young man, old man, medium man, do not have to be a knight in shining armor. And please do not marry a princess. Neither one of those things are real. Those are fantasies that we've been brought up with since the 30s or 40s. And we watch movies about them, and we have music about it, and we have princesses everywhere. And it's not real. It's not real. So the foundation for this, stop being a knight in shining armor, is to be a man with integrity and honesty and transparency, and say, this is my financial condition. These are my goals for my life. I am working toward this, and it may take me 2 more years. So if you're thinking we're going to get married now, we probably aren't. And young women, if you are in a place where you have a lot of debt, or you don't understand your finances, let's get that in order. Do not try to get into a partnership or a relationship with secrets about money. It will undo all that's good about your relationship, and it will upend your future. It'll throw it right out the door. So what are the keys? Start managing your money when you're in high school. If you've had a tough childhood like I did, and money was silence or violence, you have to do a little bit of work to undo those triggers. The triggers that make you afraid to talk about money, that make you afraid of your own finances. You do not have to be rich to be valuable. If somebody were to reject you because they say you're not a good catch because you don't make enough money, that is a person that needs to find someone who makes enough money. And I guarantee you that more than likely it will never be enough money to make the relationship work. So what are your goals? A solid business partnership, a solid roommate partnership, a solid marriage, a solid civil union, whatever that is, you have to be on the same page about how you approach and manage your money. So men, stop believing you have to be a knight in shining armor and understand what you need to be is a man of integrity and transparency. You need to know how to communicate. Now, if from the beginning you're in a relationship and you're thinking, oh, this chick is really hot and I'd like to impress her, and you start spending money you don't have, it's your mistake, not hers. If this young woman in the initial, or this young man in the initial stages of your relationship sees you throwing money out and going and spending money that you don't have, they will get the wrong impression, and they are getting the wrong impression from you. Don't do that. It's okay to say, you know what? I can't afford to do that. And if this young woman is not interested in you because you can't spend money on her, then I am glad to say that you are not in the knight in shining armor syndrome and you're not playing games. Don't play games with your life. Don't play games with your financial condition. Get it set up, set your boundaries, understand what you can spend and not spend, and present your real self. And you're saying, oh, Robin, you're so full of shite here because no woman would like me. Oh my goodness, I'm here to say that's not true. You have to look at the circles you're running in and the people that you're surrounding yourself by. I can't say this enough. No matter what age you're at, the honesty and the transparency and the communication about money will make or break your relationship. And I don't think you should even enter a relationship until you've had that money talk. Now, I'm not saying the casual dating stuff, and I'm not saying for a man who never wants to get married, he should be upfront about that. Anybody who does not want children should be upfront about that. Why are we upfront about those things, but we hide what we think about money? If you're a person that does not believe that they ever want to own a home, that they don't want that burden, that should be stated. I'm here for the rest of the time I'm on this earth to try and tell you how to communicate honestly about these things. I have owned 2 homes in my lifetime. I don't want to own one anymore. Not really. If I find that I want to own a home, I would actually share that with you. But right in the last 21 years, I have not wanted to, as I grow older, to own a home. I've wanted to have a little bit more freedom than that. And I was very clear with that. And guess what? I met a man who felt the exact same way. No more, owning a home. It's a lot of responsibility. We both owned them. We both loved our homes. And when we sold them, we said, maybe we don't need to do this again. Now that goes against the grain of everybody I know who says you should own a home. Well, in some particular instances with the change in tax laws, owning a home doesn't even benefit you. If you've got a great interest rate and your taxes are low, your home isn't even a write-off anymore because your standard deduction is greater than your home deduction. So you need to analyze that too. When you're going to get into a partnership, when you're going to decide to buy a house, sit down with an expert, spend $1,000 on a financial expert giving you advice and letting you know what the deductions are. And you know what? Join your family in it. Say, hey, family, my fiance and I are thinking about this and we want to go to a financial person. Do you recommend anybody? Do you have someone you work with? So we can ask the honest questions. Buying a home is not necessarily the answer. Owning a home is a lot of responsibility. I know it's called the American dream, but honestly, it can become a nightmare and you need to analyze it. So take the pressure off, knights in shining armor that you don't want to be anymore, and look at the nuts and bolts of owning a home. Will it benefit you tax-wise? Will it not? Are you getting in over your head right now with something you cannot afford? Do you need to live somewhere else in order to own a home instead of where you live? Do you need to go figure out what do a cost analysis on your salary versus your mortgage and what your spouse would bring in and those kind of things? Because you do need to do that. You need to figure that out. And I am here to say that, as I say a lot, I'm here to say that if you make the wrong decision, it can really harm your relationship. People fight about money more than anything else. It's the great unknown, because from the time education started, formal education starts, we do not tell you the money conversations to have. We're not honest with you. Kids think credit cards are instant money. People don't understand credit reports. We've done that, and I'm here to apologize for it. So, my beautiful knights in shining armor that can take off their armor and get off the damn white horse, stop doing that and present your best self with your integrity intact to that person you would like to date and maybe get married to or form a partnership with. You are off the hook in my book, and you are good. You are good. Watch out in particular for people who have been raised to believe that the other person is responsible for them financially. That's a big red flag. Make sure you know the financial condition of the person you're joining forces with, whether it's in business or a roommate or a marriage. Make sure you know their financial condition. Bring it all to the table. Look at it. Look at the debt. Look at the salaries. Look at what you both bring into the relationship. Figure it out. Don't make those mistakes. Anything I can do to help, I will do. I am proud to say that I have basically made a lot of mistakes in my lifetime, and I've learned from them, and I am good at coaching and good at what words to say. I know how to approach these subjects. And you can say, oh, that's scary, I'll lose this person. Well, it's better to lose them now than if you lose them later after you've combined forces and have homes and kids and responsibilities. And you need to do it in advance, talking about it in advance. That's like both of you saying, let's get physicals. Let's see where we're at with our DNA. Let's figure this out before we have children. Good idea. Good idea. Know what you're passing on. Know your family history. That's the same thing with finances. Know the history of the person you're about to get involved with. Like I said, it's really none of your business if you're going to have 1 or 2 dates. But if you're thinking about long-term, it's your business. It's for your emotional, mental, and physical health. It will drive you crazy. And more people have been split by their financial condition than any other thing in their relationship. Finances matter. So I know it's a very serious subject. I wanted to take this opportunity to say to the men and women of this country, I really care. I really want you to succeed. I want you to have those tough conversations before, not after, not in the middle of a marriage when you can't do anything and then you have to have this ugly separation and divorce. Let's do it in advance. If you want to know how to converse like this, I can give you tips. There are people in this wonderful country that know how to have conflict resolution conversations. They know how to speak money talk, and they know what you need to get through to the other person. Listening, positive speech, no yelling, no accusing, but understanding. And so if you like this video, please press like and to subscribe. I'm going to continue in the new year with steps how to get your finances in order. I want to get some classes together that people can take for the simple things, and then we'll get more complicated. But we're going to have product. And I did write a book. It's available on Amazon. Just check out Robin Da Vinci on Amazon. And I do have a book, and it goes back to those places in your childhood that really make you struggle as an adult with money. I have all kinds of opinions, but mainly I'm here to serve and to advocate for you and to be a support. I never want you to think you're alone in this, because those of us who have made mistakes and figured it out and pressed forward, we need to mentor those who are in the position to try and do that. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you so much. If you're a viewer, if you're a subscriber, keep coming. I will not let you down. I will continue to press on this subject and be there for you. Thank you so much, and take good care.